Good afternoon and welcome to EMTV's COVID-19 awareness program. The Secretary for Education, Dr. Uke Kombra, in a press statement had announced that the Education Department had come up with lessons and learning resources for some subjects for students during the state of emergency period. Now, these lessons and learning resources will be disseminated through the use of radio, television, and internet. Now, for students and parents, please take note that the lessons have been divided and shared among the different mediums, which are EMTV, NBC Radio and TV, DigiTV, and Click TV. So, Education Department, Mama Haram display toksave, Education Department by Halve Mol Sumating Long Sim Sample School na lining lo display time during the state of emergency period, or by using TV, radio, na internet long put them out display lining long all pickinini. Now, if you like sim program, please check out the newspapers, check the radios as well, put them out radio as well. Sim program display all lessons na program whereby come up Education Department by put them out long halve mol picking sim line lo display time. Now moving on, for students in remote locations, government by look rot blo help him also Martin sim line. They're now looking at ways to overcome the challenges. Some of them would be the logistics and the geographical settings for our country. So government look display and they're working towards it. So display talks have blong also Martin or mama papa where got questions long lining blong or picking blong. Now, meanwhile, moving on to another topic, we know that we are still working during this SOE period, hence most employers must make sure that health and safety of its employees are taken seriously. Now, the low-cost measures highlighted by the World Health Organization will prevent the spread of infections in workplace. Firstly, make sure your workspaces are clean and hygienic. Surfaces such as desks and tables and objects such as telephones and keyboards must be wiped with disinfectant regularly. This is because the contamination of surfaces touched by anyone is one of the main ways that COVID-19 spreads. Now, the other important thing to do is promote regular and thorough hand washing by sanitizing, and make sure as well that there's hand rub dispensers in prominent places around the workplace and offices, and make sure they're regularly filled. Now, it is important to make sure that staff have access to places where they can wash their hands with soap and water as well. We now take a quick break and return with more on COVID-19. Welcome back. Now, we did see a lot of stigma and discrimination in our country when the authorities announced the second confirmed COVID-19 case. Stigma in itself is more harmful and has many effects to it. Dr. Maria from World Health Organization talks about stigma and also emphasized that we do not know what the future holds when it comes to COVID-19, hence we must work together to fight the spread.
I think there's something everyone can do to battle against stigma. To educate yourself about what this virus is, where it's circulating. No one is at fault for getting infected with this virus. We need to help each other as best we can. We see many examples of countries helping each other within their own populations, whether this is providing some support to families who have infected cases, providing support to families who have members who are in quarantine, providing support to healthcare workers who are working on the front line, bringing them groceries or helping them clean their homes. And we need to all stand up to stigma. We need to stand up to people who are pointing out that someone may be at fault for being from a certain country. This absolutely should not be tolerated in any form. And we do see many good examples of it, and we need to make sure that we promote that. But everyone has a responsibility here to do the right thing and to help each other out during this difficult time. One thing we are not able to do is to predict what will happen. What we need to do is prepare for any scenario. And the trajectory of this pandemic, the trajectory of each epidemic in each country is dependent on the actions of each country. So what we have seen in several countries in Asia, we've seen them tackle this virus, be aggressive in their approach in terms of finding their cases and contacts, and have this comprehensive approach that we've discussed previously, mobilizing their workforce, having an all-of-government, all-of-society approach. We've seen them turn the corner. So we've seen them have very strong, very bad epidemics and have them peak. Hopefully that they've peaked. China has certainly peaked, and there's been a decline, but there's always the chance that those cases can increase again. So we always have to be on the ready to look for any cases that pop up. With regards to the rest of the world, as I said, it will depend on how countries react to their first cases and if they have an aggressive approach to those first cases. For countries that are dealing with clusters of cases, it will depend on how they aggressively look for the chains of transmission within those clusterings of cases, making sure that they identify every single case, every contact, separate the contacts, put them in quarantine. And for those countries that are dealing with much larger outbreaks and community transmission, making sure that there's a much broader approach in terms of mobilizing their entire workforce to support the response to this, making sure that their hospitals have the possibility to cope with increasing numbers of cases. But it's impossible for us to say when this will peak globally. We hope that it is sooner rather than later, but again, we can't emphasize enough that there have been countries that have demonstrated the ability to turn the tide to suppress transmission, and it is in the hands of every country to be able to do that. So we are hoping that more countries put more aggressive efforts into doing so.
Yeah, look, we have some live updates coming in from the command center. Prime Minister James Marape on the other side.
Important that our citizens in our country, our people, our residents know what is the correct information and relevant information in as far as our effort to contain coronavirus from coming in or spreading in our country. And today I'm privileged to be here again one more time to be the introductory person for our controller to fill us on information that our country needs to hear about. But let me take this time to say thank you to our citizens right across the length and breadth of our country. Last weekend we passed through our usual annual Easter period, and right throughout our country, despite the many challenges that we have, there weren't too many incidences in as far as crime or many of those social disturbances that normally happen or take place in our country. And let me say thank you very much to our citizens. I also at this time also think of some 12 lives who were lost, a family of those 12 lives who were lost in a landslip that took place under the foothills of Mount William. We pay our sympathies and send our condolences to the family of those 12 who've lost their life. Today, as I come to this address again, let me inform our country that coronavirus is not something that we can joke about. It's not something that we can easily discard. Statistics globally show us, for instance, global statistics shows that 1,918,855 people globally have been affected or have coronavirus. This is the number of total confirmed cases as I speak today. Number of deaths totally, globally totals up to 119,588. In our region, close by, closer to home, the Western Pacific region, we have 121,426 confirmed cases of corona, and we have in the last 24 hours alone, for instance, 1,310 new cases of corona in our region. Deaths in our region, 4,125 deaths in the Western Pacific region. In the last 24 hours, 67 new cases or new deaths related to corona. Closest to home, for instance, our neighbor in Australia, has 6,351 cases of corona confirmed. 61 have died of corona virus. Next door to us in Indonesia, 4,557 confirmed cases of corona. 399 have died as a result of coronavirus. Fiji has 16 cases. New Caledonia has 18 cases. French Polynesia has 53 cases. Guam has 133 cases, of which 5 have died already. And so these are evidence of presence of corona and the growth of corona sicknesses and deaths relating to corona in our region. So I just want to take this time out to inform our citizens that just because we in PNG had only 2 pronounced positive cases must never give us a sense of complacency at the level of government or at the level of individuals where you are in this country. We must still remain vigilant and on high alert to the possibility of ravage and destruction uncontrolled presence of coronavirus can cause to our country, our citizens, and our health of both our citizens as well as the health of our economy. Also, me talk and me like make him lick time to talk pisin. Coronavirus I mean not die long this background. In fact, coronavirus I mean grow yet long this background. Planet Earth over 1.9 million man married long this background. He got this see corona. I mean killing pin is 119,588 man married long this background. Close to the place Lumi or inside the region Lumi, 121,426 plus man or Mary, he got sick corona. Last 24 hours that's all, 1,310 plus man Mary kisses la sick corona. All die along this playground, region Blimi and 4,125 man Mary die. Last 24 hours, 67 plus man Mary die along sick corona. Country close to Loyumi, also in Australia, you got 6,351 man Mary got corona. 61 plus man Mary die finish. Country close to Loyumi, long Indonesia, where Yumi sharing land border one time. 4,557 man Mary got sick corona. 399 he died finish. Fiji got 16 plus, no got man die yet. New Caledonia got 18 plus, no got man die yet. French Polynesia got 53 plus, no got man die yet. Guam he got 133, 5 plus man die finish. And so corona me something where you may by play funny, play politics, laugh longan, talk longan, joke longan. Papua New Guinea you may sour finish. Plenty housing blimi long place blimi or country blimi. Number 1, no got marasin and reliable marasin supply. Number 2, no got enough bed. Look at him all sick man so come inside. Plenty number of sick come inside. And number 3, you may know got plenty old man Mary only train long walk school somewhere long house sick or marasin. Look at him all good so was sicky. Pundan long you mean plenty 1,000 kisses plus sick. That is why as a responsible government we like going to defense and defensive strategy. Long time long make sure corona come inside and spread. But you may try long isolate him country or keep him apart. Now look clear, look somewhere where sick is stop. And as people pan him out, you may go inside into a specific strategy, long pin him down, one him up sick, he stop, now stop him sick, lo display. And as aste, you may have him finish, me announce him. The second case, this is Susa long East New Britain, me play isolate him, and me stops and help cooperate one time, team long, walk long, ensure him that kisi marasin stop isolated and result in as far as due process and concern on kisim second test. In the period where Siki Panimem, so result me after some come up negative, come out long period in which she ran through the time she would have tested positive and come out of the period in which those tests were run. Her negative status means that she's now okay to be back in society. Plenty lo yumi question result belong PNG IMR and me like making one blood talk. PNG IMR am a world-class institution yumi got lo country blimi na mi sa running or credible test. WHO said the partner blo mipla long display fight against corona na plenty of health issues blimi in our country and remain so in this occasion in which we are fighting corona. WHO am benchmarking and rating the test that laboratories blimi long PNG IMR saranim. First case blimi me yet as Prime Minister me talk much negative name German, but again at insistence I beg your pardon, PNG IMR establishing positive case. Similar to protocols, and we go out and we make him test block and we come out of period in which test is supposed to run. After kissing marasin, after him isolate, and we come negative and we release back into his own country. Our second test, likewise, same process. And we are waiting for her third result in compliance to requirement belong. Online who said he test positive, you must get triple result. Her third result will come out in due course, possibly tomorrow or up tomorrow, and the country looks away. But the second result belong and we saw him must come up negative. But this play me no semibla relax long place where we stop. Online where we kai one time, online where we run one time. Those tests are being run as we speak. In fact, 7 of those results has come out. They have come negative, but further tests are being run on every contact that we were able to map with her in her 14 days, retrospective to the time we felt was a period in which she was infected with the virus. So, me like give my students law country as a MIPLA law government at where me sit down or where minister is staff, but more importantly, at the health department level, one-time controller. MIPLA, make him display, run him display program, because MIPLA like run him. Sick, stop long display ground, and as I speak, more than 213 countries long planet Earth, he got sick corona finish. Presence block corona, lo country block all. And this is a global medical war that is taking place, and Papua New Guinea in the resource space we are in the medical capacities that we have, we felt that this strategy to be defensive right from day one is the most appropriate strategy for us so that we can pin down on the presence of corona and get to attend to it at the earliest. And evidence have shown to us thus far that for us to go down on an isolation strategy, keeping all man from move around, for us to clearly map out where corona is today, almost 22 days on from the first time we called for a state of emergency and a national isolation strategy or a shutdown for our nation, gives me comfort to know exactly where key areas in our country we can make interventions. And today, as I speak, key areas remain for us in as far as keeping our country safe from corona is our border areas from Antap long Wanamu or Wutung, come down Lawion or along Daru site, and ensuring that all international movements remains restricted, controlled, so that you can wash long no can let them corona long outside come inside. As I speak today, this Susai Kisim sick long Kokopo, Mipla almost establishing map how I may run for the last 14 days. And this we're coming to almost conclusion as to where, and the question that interests me is to exactly establish Kisim Siklo where. There are indications that the time period in between where this one talk me walk long Laos and stop and movement block and movement blow this white money go long harmony and walk long up, and the flight you got indication of some there's a possibility of some overlaps in between where some blood passengers, for instance, or the same balus all along this lot of activity where may have been stopped long too. But we are doing all these tests long possible line long ensuring me play sawe. Usai kisim this plus sick go long and as more evidence become available, our country will be informed. But as I speak today, and the controller will speak very shortly, we like assuring Mogada line blue me long East New Britain. Whilst me thank him all long support and work long all long ensuring that all cooperate from the governor down to every people and passing good passing image long East New Britain where villages around as well six village all Karem Kaikai and all supporting all 6 village. Me like to thank you all cooperation and work all thus far. As we speak in East New Britain medically in Nogat Nabla case me established him 1 blood assault 7 blood line only contact one to Mary go inside long. Laboratory and result come out finish, they're negative. Tomorrow we will produce another, and the day after tomorrow another 40 results, most of them from test pick from our sisters' contacts. And they will establish to us exactly what has happened in East New Britain in as far as that second case is concerned. But as I speak today, me like giving signal on country, we are now trying to establish living protocol for our country to live with corona for the balance of this year. As I've been advised by medical experts globally and our in-house advisors who are advising us, corona is not here and will be gone tomorrow. Corona is possibly will be around for the balance of this year as medical science try to come up with medicine and cure for corona. And as a country, we are doing our utmost best to adjust to living with corona. Adjustment means how all beginning may come back from school. I have a keen interest to restore our kids back to school at the very earliest. I have a very keen interest to ensure that our SMEs are not affected in this in the shutdown period. And so we, our main control team here, are looking at correct protocols in which schools can operate in, public service can operate in, business can operate in, and at the very earliest we will make a call in which Papua New Guinea can adjust to living with corona as we go into the balance of this year. And those calls will be made at the right time based on scientific evidence in the presence of corona and based on medical advices as to how citizens must respond and live with the threat of corona amidst us. And the threat is very real. Our borders next to us have high exposure to corona if PNG has no corona apart from the 2 cases we've established. The reality of threat amongst us must ensure that our citizens and all public service organizations and private sector organizations in our country respond to the protocols that we will set in due course. And to set these protocols, our controller will be in consultation with key stakeholders, including public service departments like education department, the higher education department, and of course the provincial and local level governments for interface with our provinces right throughout our country. But our controller will also speak to key organizations like Chamber of Commerce, manufacturing councils, and our business community so that we all can contribute to how our country can live with the presence of corona for the balance of this year. And those calls will be made by the controller at the very earliest, in fact, a later part of this week, so that we could tailor our lifestyle for our country in which our citizens and business and government agents can live with the presence of corona amidst us as we go to the balance of this year. And we look forward to concluding this at the very earliest, and I ask every one of you who are called by controller, and for those, many of you who have concerns and thoughts out there in the public space, controller is not running a dictatorship here. We are here to be advised. We are here to be corrected. We are here to be guided also as to how best our country can live through the presence of corona, which is very real in the world and very real to the region we live in as we go through this year. And I look forward to those contacts made with our controller, and we can refine the new normal of living in our country with the presence of corona. With this, let me introduce our controller, who can come in and relay on some message that he needs to relay for us. But me like to thank you, Lord, man, Mary, Lord, this black country. Thank you for your patience and understanding. display sick, so was immunocontrolling good country can come inside and finish in plenty man-made display country. That's why these controls are very necessary, but we will readjust at the very earliest. Colonel Sami give him a line inside finish on blood thinking. Date 27 is a date in which we want to start our schools. But within this week, we must put out what is the protocols for how schools must operate in it. And so these are sort of thinking when people will walk inside. We're not sleeping and having a holiday, enjoying the state of emergency. I, for one, very much don't like the state of emergency time because it's stopping our economy from functioning. It's stopping our country from functioning, but what can we do? The realistic and the right thing to do for us is to ensure we are sensitive to the damages Corona can do, hence the strategies that we have taken thus far. So we ask you all for your forbearance and tolerance. For those who live in our cities, especially Port Moresby and Lae, right after this meeting, I will be meeting Governor Pakop and his NCDC members of parliament and few NCDC commissioners for us to discuss on ways in which we could ensure that our city and the life in the city is not unnecessarily harmed. Many of our citizens are unemployed. Many of our citizens rely on small day-to-day sales to be living and alive. We are very much conscious on this, and the governor and myself will sit down, go through some strategies in which our simple people who depend on sales on the street side or depend on little small jobs or SMEs, they still can function and survive. And very soon, if not tomorrow, in the next announcements I make, we will announce a package or some initiatives for our small people who are in our suburbs, who are in our settlements, who may be struggling right now as we speak. We want to have a specific program attached for you, especially food distribution. And we've asked our central province people to produce extra if they can produce. Governor Gorobe is working to ensure central province becomes a food supplier, and we can pick those foods for distribution in our settlements and areas who are maybe facing empty cupboards as we speak, because some of us are fortunate to have salaries, but it's unfortunate some don't have regular income, regular salaries. They depend on day-to-day activities, and they may be going through hard time. Government is looking at display area where people can help him all man marry display time. As we talk about all display all man marry, we're not at work and stop and facing hard time in the city too within the next 2 months. We possibly also willing to repatriate those who want to go back home to the various homes. Our country, you may get garden is stop long place. You may get cocoa is stop place, you're right. We said thinking logo, we will have a strategy on repatriating those who are in our cities and who want to go home. And for the youths and unemployed in our country, as I indicate sometimes earlier, we also as a government have a specific program for you in as far as mobilizing national volunteers are concerned who can get engaged in some government programs we want to run this year also, including our national census program. Thank you very much. With this, let me introduce our controller to the podium. Controller, please.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I guess much has been shared by the Prime Minister. Just by way of a quick brief on our security space. What is evident is that we still consider very much a serious threat and risk to COVID-19 imported cases coming across the western border, so with Indonesia. And as such, much has been put into in our deployments and our planning to better secure our land borders and maritime borders. The maritime borders are currently being enforced or patrolled by maritime elements from the PNGDF. We have encountered a minor setback in our ability to cover the southern maritime border, but that has been a contingency has been put into place and is now has come into full effect with an alternative arrangement to deploy our police vessels down to the maritime borders of Western Province and the islands of the Torres Strait, as well as across to Indonesia. So it very much is, in as far as our stopping the spread of COVID-19 in as far as the borders are concerned. So as we speak, in the space of repatriating our citizens overseas, that number, and I'm still yet to have that confirmed this afternoon, but I understand that it has increased, both in the number of citizens overseas as well as the number of countries that we're looking at extracting them from. Mind you, these countries are not in the nearby region. We have had requests from stranded citizens as far as Europe. So we're working towards a solution to get our people back into the country. And as far as bringing our citizens back from overseas, there will still be, and let me assure the people, our people, that there'll still be the requirement to go into quarantine. I've since gazetted certain places or hotels that we've identified as being suitable for that purpose, both here in Moresby as well as around the country. The Prime Minister has expressed his intent to engage more of our small guest houses around the country to take on if there is a surge in the number of our citizens coming in. At least we have adequate infrastructures to support that isolation phase and process. What we do have, in as far as East New Britain is concerned, we currently still mapping out the true picture of how widespread the COVID-19 virus has spread throughout the province, and that again is still a work in progress. With the uplifting of interprovincial travel, we are now, as of yesterday, have uplifted the roadblocks in Central Province, and this again, can I stress here that was to allow for farmers in the Central Province to allow access into the city to very much feed our population in the city. Everywhere else in the country, we still continue to man roadblocks, but more as a precautionary measure rather than enforcement one. And we'll continue to man those to ensure that should there be a third case or any more reported cases of positive COVID-19 cases around the country, we're able to flex up and respond appropriately. With complaints as to the members of the constabulary's conduct on the borders, on the roadblocks, we have taken that into account. And as I said yesterday, we have stood up that number that has the ability to respond should an official complaint be registered. And so, look, as we go through this state of emergency, we are, being as accountable as possible in as far as this times of uncertainty and very challenging times, may I add. In our efforts to return back to normal, it is very much our intent to engage with our wider community, and starting as of tomorrow, we will be adopting a sectoral approach to this. So my colleagues, Secretary for Education, Commerce and Industry, Agriculture, and those key departments that allow a bureaucracy to function, a country to function, we will be putting together over the next couple of days a strategic framework to best advise the government as to what would be an appropriate position to be in as we transition into this second month of the SOE and even beyond the state of emergency. So a lot of work has been done in the back end, not necessarily with just the security strategy and the health strategy, but also the economic strategy. It is a responsibility of the Joint Agency Task Force to ensure that that transition from SOE to the new normal continues to take place. And as far as the health strategy is concerned, we will continue to to reinforce, if you like, or stand up, build the capacity in the provinces. Because post-SOE, we would like to see our capacity in the provinces to have the ability to provide an appropriate response should a COVID-19 case or cluster infection occur in those provinces. So we are, as I speak, we continue to progress a lot of our strategies going forward, and as I said, we stand to learn from all this. We've learned from the first case in Wau what worked well for us, what didn't work well for us. We're now currently learning from the East New Britain case. And as such, what's happening now is whilst we have the domestic expertise to deal with this type of health situation, we do not have the practical expertise. Okay, so everything that we're doing now is what we know, what is best practice around the world, what is working for us in the PNG context. So as we have said and time again in our press statements, there'll be minor inconveniences, by way of orders that have come about by emergency orders, but these are what we see as the appropriate way to deal with this issue. We are working in a very dynamic environment where the situation changes from day to day, but what has not changed thus far is that we have not, around the world, have not found a cure for COVID-19. The restrictions and the protocols, the washing of hands, the keeping the safe physical distancing, all that, still shows us that is the best way to stop the spread. So it's not something that we've made up. It's something that has proven around the world to work. So with that, that is very much the briefing for today. If there's any questions, I'll hand over back to the Prime Minister. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have the Health Secretary with us, Dr. Dekulela. So any one or two questions that we might have missed, obviously every day we have a press session. So, but in any case, the website's available for everyone to know as to what is happening inside. And I'm pretty sure everyone's aware of the website of the COVID setup here. But Health Secretary is here if we need some advice on the health side of things, or some clarity that need to be made again from my perspective, or Controller. 2 questions, 3 questions, any one of you have some intelligent questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. If Dr. Dekulela can answer this question. We've spoken with several people from Raluana in East New Britain, and they were actually there at the church gathering where Joanne is alleged to have contracted the virus. They say there were over 500 people, comprising of 2 senior statesmen, including some very senior leaders from within the province. If that information is correct, then how is it possible that we only have 37 people that we're getting back to do the contact tracing on, and only she's showing the symptoms of the virus for the first test that came back?
Thank you. We have done what we call the line listing, and that line listing goes through every one of those contacts that this person would have been in contact with. And on the basis of those line listing is then what then enables us to go on and do all the testings that are required for us. And as in line with the WHO standards and protocols, we get to do those. Now, as much as possible, we've done what we needed to do. And a few days ago, the technical expertise, those who deal with the surveillance, those who are epidemiologists, they from all the expertise come in and discuss the whole, person and the context and the chronological order in terms of the timing of what has happened from the time when she got tested, the time when she got infected, and then going back to the period when she would have had the infection, and from then on, get the line listing to enable us to do the contact tracing, and that's the process, the epidemiological process that has been done or effected, and we have now gone into the second or the third group of expertise who've gone down, and the core part of it is for us to do more testings. And the testings have been done. We are clear that we are doing 1,000 tests all throughout the whole settings, because we know that we have to be wide in the way we deal with getting information as much as possible. So that's the task that's at hand right now as we speak throughout the whole East New Britain setting. So the team has gone down to carry on all those tests.
Prime Minister, could I ask a question about our economy? Introduce yourself. Do I need to? Prime Minister, I'm sure you're aware about what's happening in the economy. There are concerns by members of Parliament that we will be facing severe cash shortage. Can you give us an update of the stimulus package and when that can be realized?
We are working in progress. Every day there's a meeting in the economic front. Whilst this may be a health issue and regional security issue, the security of our economy is our number one concern also. So we're not going back to sleep. As I said, a new normal lifestyle of PNG with Corona will be introduced to us, and the health team, based on advice from our health team, they will tell us exactly how to live and behave, and we will try in as much as possible to bring our economy back to life at the very earliest. And the economic stimulus package comes in many forms. Our earliest and something that I'm very interested about is to ensure that our small businesses, our micro, our small and our medium enterprises are given a great deal of support. Our banks have been very responsive in that front, and working with BSP, working with Kina Bank, working with ANZ, and hopefully Westpac, as well as our own NDB, we will be looking at very soft lending for our SMEs, for them to ensure that they have money on to restart their business, as well as on top of the banks respond in deferring interest repayment and deferring call on their loans for those who carry loans in the business books. So these are sort of interventions we want to make. For government also, we're looking to ensure that apart from our revenues that we're supposed to raise from IRC and customs and our dividends, we have almost 40% of 2020 budget as deficit financing. We're looking into those areas where we could source in finance to come in, and we will use our budget as a tool to ensure there's life in the economy, moving money out from Treasury to our district funds, our provincial funds, and to those contracts that we have, life contracts we carry in our books, to ensure we maintain life in the economy. And these are activities that are very much a big part of my job as Prime Minister, working with the Treasurer, Finance Minister, and Planning Minister to ensure our economy is not killed in the process. Hopefully next week after Cabinet on Wednesday, I will be in a position to advise the country and exact our final arrangements we have with our banks in how they will react and deal with our business communities. And something that I'm just indicating is a softer loan program that we want the banks to give our business and SMEs out there. And soft loan, I mean, at 4% for 15 years or 20 years. This is something that I really want to bring on board. And Corona gives us an opportunity to reconfigure the way we've been doing this. Central Bank, in the first place, has now reduced the Kina rate facility, the reduction by 2%. We've asked the bank to pass that 2% on to the customers. Some banks passing 1% only to their customers. We asked if they could pass the entire 2% to their customers. Central Bank has already reduced the reserve facility each banks carry, and I think it's coming at the lowest our nation has experienced since 1975. That is to free up more money so that banks can have more money to play at the market or lend to our small businesses for them to keep their heads above the water. So first thing, importantly for me, is to keep our small business operating and functioning. And that specific package will be announced in the next 1 or 2 weeks so that we don't kill the economy in the process.
And a follow-up question also that some MPs and Governor Baird also raised concern saying that he's asking or questioning if the SOE is necessary. They're saying that the government has not provided evidence to support the SOE.
Well, what evidence do you need from me? I just put to you statistics globally speaking. And I've admitted, for a fair start, that our country do not have the health, our ability and capacity in our health system is not there to contain corona that is caused by unrestricted movement. Our first and foremost intention is to ensure that we don't have people moving around unnecessarily. And the new normal will be coming out in a very not too distant future. In that new normal, businesses will flow. In the new normal, hopefully schools will start again. In the new normal, hopefully the greater function of our country will come back to life. But the 2 months of SOE gives opportunity for citizens of our country to live within order. Let's be honest, appraise ourselves if our country does live within order. And so this 2 months gives an opportune time for us. The entire 2 months will not be taken for us to restrict business from flowing or government from coming back to life. 2 months is for the controller based on evidence to ensure, and especially in different regions of our country, those orders are maintained so that we don't encourage corona from coming in unmanned at the borders and for it to propagate in our country. And so those orders will cause a slight bit of inconvenience to every citizen, but please bear with us. Because it only takes 1 or 2 uncontrolled movement for corona to propagate and grow in our country. So there is no recklessness on our part. In fact, that is the most responsive action any government would have taken in the absence of actual beds in hospitals, in the absence of actual kits to ensure we are defensive in fighting a person that is infested with the virus, or actually availability of doctors to respond to mass blown out and rampant corona in our country. So we've taken responsible steps. The 2 months, we don't mean for everyone to go on holiday and isolated at the very earliest. And I give indication already on the 27th, we want to start our schools. But how do we start our school with corona amidst us? Those detailed protocols working with the sectors, relevant sectors concerned, will come out, and we want our countries to, our citizens to respond and live within those new norms and the protocols that we'll set in place. And the governors have a very direct role in this one. And I thank Governor for NCD, for instance. Without waiting on national government to come in and direct him, he went ahead and set up his own isolation camp. I thank Governor for East New Britain. Without waiting for national government to come in, as soon as the first case was established, him and his province reacted in real time to the best of their own ability. We're now mobilizing resources to transfer to provincial governments. It's only 21 provincial governments out there. The 22nd is our special region of Bougainville. That is a key point. We've now established 21 contact points in those provinces, and the 22nd is a special region of Bougainville. Government's mobilizing money. In fact, tomorrow the 250 million kina that is allocated for the fight against COVID. I've asked our team here to go through the budget and for us to budget exactly how this funding will be spent, and so all of us to know exactly where the funding will be spent in as far as fighting corona. And those will be distributed mostly to ensuring that our province and our 21 provinces and our region of Bougainville has support in terms of materials, resources, funding to help fighting corona in the localized setting. So those strategies are deployed for us to bring back the country to life. As I said, corona will go beyond June 2nd, where SOE will be redundant. But in these 2 months leading up to June 2nd, we want our country under controlled measure to respond to how to live with corona in the balance of this year. If we don't do this and everyone go all over the place, we stand totally exposed to the shock uncontrolled movement can do to corona. Remember, coronavirus don't spread itself. Coronavirus spread when people move from place to place. The whole idea of SOE is to stop unnecessary movement, not unnecessary business. Business can grow, school can go back, but control of people moving from place to place, we want to curtail this and ensure it's done in a systematic way so that someone, for instance, and of all places, instead of calling another place, let me call my own home province, Hela province. Someone has corona in Hela province, then that person is identified, Hela province comes to a standstill, you don't move in and out, there's protocols deployed specific to containing corona in that place. That's a sort of operational correctness we want to get into to ensure we live with corona for the balance of this year and beyond until the vaccine is found, globally speaking.
Prime Minister,
Sorry. Last one or two questions.
We've seen issues with stigma associated with COVID-19 so far, and there are concerns it could lead to sorcery accusations. Is that a worry, and is enough education happening within our society and communities? What's the expectation there?
Thank you for that good question. We inform our people. Corona is not just like every other disease. Corona can, if properly isolated, and statistics globally is indicating to us 80% can come out of that period in which, if they are isolated, and you had our controller informing that in the 21 provinces we are looking at guest houses owned by locals or owned by companies who are with us for a long time that can be used as isolation areas, or in their own homes. If properly isolated, 80% do come out of this one. The 20% that needs to be treated, we will do our absolute best to treat them. So let me take this time to answer this question. Please, let's not stigmatize a person who, through our own study, and as far as person of interest is concerned, and migrating to person under investigation as affirmed to become corona positive, there might be another person who becomes positive, or third person, fourth person, fifth person. Just because that person has contact corona doesn't mean that he or she is not a wanted person in society. Government and the whole of government effort will be there to ensure that life is not lost, and we give our total attention to that person. I'm thankful people of East New Britain have risen to the occasion, not only caring for that one case. And that one case is a beautiful person, as I said a few presses ago. She was in the front line doing advocacy on corona and other health-related issues. And of all persons, she came in contact with the virus. And so I appeal to our citizens, if a third case is established, or if a fourth case is established going into the future, this corona can be cured by deployment of proper health strategies. Let's not stigmatize. Let's not do all sorts of negative insinuations. The criminal penalties attached to those who stigmatize and do discrimination and to labeling against those who might turn out positive. This case who was positive in Kokopo, we knew that she turned negative a couple of days ago, but I and the health team here advised against announcing her negative until we have a greater mapping on her track. And so those we've been quite sensitive in the fact that we knew that her personally for herself, she wanted case to be her negative status to be revealed. We delayed by 24 hours to ensure we map out further where her contacts were and further testing to be done on her contacts. And so to ensure that she is now being able to interface back into society, we took the time to make announcement again, but she's still undergoing those protocols that needs to be given to her in as far as someone who's just come out of a period of being positive. As I indicated earlier, a test has been done, and as soon as that result comes out, we will also inform the nation on this case. But please, I appeal to our country. Someone close to you might be corona infected. Let's embrace them, but practice those safe measures that we've been promoting. And today in our meeting, we've asked NBC to have a slot board radio as well as video, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock or during the day to give free airtime to what a message our citizens must take in as far as health messages are concerned on living in safe practices in as far as being sensitive to possible presence of corona amidst us. So MTV will be, I beg your pardon, NBC, both radio and TV will be running specific program time, bearing in mind this is a government station, so they'll be running those slots in advertisement on how people and how students and how business must live with corona amidst us for the balance of this year or into the future. All right.
So we controller.
All right, last one, please.
So we controller, please, can you confirm that you have received a letter from Dearest Secretary, Father Zanzuba, asking for the approval for universities and tertiary institutions to recommence classes as early as this week? And have you deliberated on it?
All right, Controller. All right, we'll take this as a last question, and I will see you all again tomorrow.
Thank you. And yes, I can confirm that we have received correspondence from the Secretary for Health and Higher Education and Research and Science and Technology. He had just met me this afternoon, no more than 2 hours ago. So we are progressing those discussions even into tomorrow as well. So we had to call off the discussions to come and attend to this press conference, but we will continue tomorrow.
Thank you, William. Thank you, Prime Minister, Controller, and Deputy Controller.
All right, thank you very much. We'll see you all again tomorrow.
Ol toktok URM pinisi kamiet long Prime Minister James Marape, SOE Controller David Manning na Dr. Pyson Dakulala. Now, long tokego paswe Prime Minister I mekim plantiol Arab la country lo region I kisim plantiblo liksim displasik na yumilo country Papua New Guinea yumega tupla case that's all display no time long walking funny or ignore him disla all rot belukautim yumi at where all medical sawe man na government I putim blo halavim yumi. So these are the measures to take note of. Now, for more information on COVID-19 update in the country and what the authorities are doing, visit MTV online website and Facebook page for regular daily updates, and also join our news team for stories as they happen. Before we go, MTV would like to thank the following partners: Protex and Telecom, whose support has made this program possible to inform, educate, make aware, prepare and update Papua New Guineans nationwide on COVID-19. I leave you now with Reverend Pastor Joseph Walters.
Hello and good afternoon. I want to read to you from Psalm 35 to help us once again to remain in the presence of God and trust in the faithfulness and truthfulness of God Almighty, the God who is on our side if we fear Him and trust Him and call upon Him. Psalm 35 says, "Plead my cause." So the psalmist is asking God, on behalf of me, plead my cause, O Lord, with those who strive, contend, or fight against me. So the enemies that strive, that contend, that contest, that fight against the writer of this psalm. And he is referring also and applying that truth to you and I. So let's say this virus is an enemy. He is an enemy. It is an enemy that threatens our very life and our existence. So let us come to God in faith and unity and trust and call upon Him to fight and contend for us on our behalf, because we've come to a point where even the whole world cannot find the answer to this dreadful virus that is so aggressive and that is so deadly, that confronts humanity as a whole in this whole world. And let us ask God to plead our cause. In other words, come on our behalf, stand on our behalf, fight on our behalf, so that we can trust him, we can look to him, we can confide in him, and know that when he fights, he never loses, he always wins, and he always defeats his enemies. This is our prayer, God, for Papua New Guinea, that you will plead our cause, fight for us, and defeat the enemy for us as we express our faith, trust, and confidence in you. In Jesus' name, amen.